This video is presented by the EA Creator Network. I have received some of the Sims 4 packs for free. Thank you to the EA Creator Network. Hello everyone, Jason Lady here. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. To get right into it, this one is in some areas sped up a little bit more than my typical builds are because I have like 4 different spaces in here that I'm decorating, and I did not want this video to run an entire hour. I don't know of anybody that really wants to watch a speed build for an hour. A real-time build, sure, but a speed build, not so much. So I sped it up a little bit faster. Some areas you can tell more, other areas it's not as bad. And I did cut a bunch of stuff out, like a bunch of stuff. But I kept the main important things in. And then, of course, at the end, we'll do a quick little walkthrough as well. So the idea behind this build, it's a remodel of the Blue Velvet in Willow Creek. And the idea behind this build is, one, it gives me very much Old Town vibes from the original Sims, which I find kind of ironic, because I remember thinking when The Sims 4 came out that The Sims 2 and The Sims 3 had been steps of progression in the series, and The Sims 4 felt like more of a regression back to The Sims 1 days, which felt really weird to me, and I almost quit playing The Sims franchise because of that, because it felt like we were no longer moving forward. We were just redoing the past, I guess. I don't know how else to explain that, but it very much felt like a regression. And this particular build has always given me Old Town vibes from the original Sims. So I kind of wanted to keep that feeling of it for nostalgia purposes, but also it lends itself well to kind of the aesthetic, I guess you could call it, that I was going for, which is very rural, touristy trap kind of town that has been hit by hard times. Like it used to be a big famous town that got tons and tons of tourists and stuff, and then the economy hit a downturn and barely anybody shows up anymore. You know, a few tourists here and a few tourists there, but not really much. And the owner is just barely keeping all 3 businesses afloat, just enough to keep them open, but not enough to continue to remodel and update and upgrade the building, so things are getting old and outdated and worn. But it's not a dirty build. They would definitely pass a health inspection. There's no problem there. It's just that things are not as neat or as fancy as maybe we would like to see, you know, or even the landlord themselves would like to see. But look, they're doing the best they can, okay? And they're trying to provide multiple services for the town in one, like, old-timey mini mall sort of deal. So the downstairs front is a bar. Every good rural town has at least 10 bars. In case you didn't know that, that is the absolute truth. And the upstairs front is a candy store, kind of hearkening back to the days where this town used to have a huge tourist draw. There's a couple of displays in there for souvenirs and things. And then the back of the building is more for locals, which is why it's at the back and not as, you know, noticeable and decorated and everything, is the laundromat. In the real world, the laundromat would be there, like the landlord would put that there as a way of giving paid access to laundry for the tenants in the apartments upstairs. But in The Sims 4, you can't rent out the home lots on these business and hobby lots. So it's the landlord living there, so I'm going with the laundromat is for other locals. It works either way, really. And now, if you're still listening, I want to share some of my thoughts and feelings after playing with businesses and hobbies for a few days. I was not feeling well. It's been a rough couple of weeks physically, like for my body. And last week, my body just said, you know what, I've had enough. I need a break. I just need to rest. And so I didn't do a video Friday. And I just kind of took the weekend to rest and sleep as much as I could. But also, I played here and there quite a bit, testing some things out. I love the idea of this pack. I understand that there are limitations to what can be done in a video game versus in real life, and that's not the part that upsets me. The idea does not match the playthrough of the game, specifically with the retail system. Now, I'm not against them revisiting old systems. I also understand that sometimes as time goes on, they're gonna be doubling up on systems. And like I said in a previous video, I'm okay with setting certain rules. I don't need the game to hold my hand and set the rule that get to work businesses are for big business only. And obviously you wouldn't live in that type of business, you know. It's for big furniture stores, big, I don't know, whatever, you know, stores or whatever. And business and hobby stores are for smaller, more crafty things, not really meant to be big clothing or furniture stores, whatever, you know. You know what I'm trying to say, and you can go back and watch that video for more clear thoughts on the idea. But after playing with it quite a bit, the retail system only works well with non-food crafted items. So if you want to have a small bakery that you live above, or a small candy shop that you live above, it's gonna be weird because it doesn't work properly. And to make matters worse, what happens when you fill up your town with all of these shops made with businesses and hobbies, and your Sims start to die off? Now, most people don't play that long. They make a sim, they play it, you know, until they get a family going, and then they quit and they start a new save, and this is like the cycle. They've talked about this, the developers have talked about this before. Very few people play legacies. And even of the people who play legacies, very few of them stick with a legacy for more than a couple of generations, generally speaking. We're not talking content creators here. We're talking the everyday player. There are relatively few content creators who play 5 or more generations compared to the number of regular everyday game players that there are for The Sims 4. Imagine that the amount of content creators, like if you could visualize it as a pie, if I could put a pie chart here on the screen for you, and you could see the breakup of players who play legacies for more than a generation or two, and content creators who play legacies for 10 generations or more, that sliver would be barely visible on the screen next to the amount of just regular everyday players who quit after the first generation. Not even the entirety of the first generation. They play for a while and then they quit, and I'm no exception. I am less content creator and more regular everyday player because I frequently quit playing before I have even grown my second generation to adulthood. So I am not judging in any way, shape, or form, because that is the epitome of my gameplay right there. And you can even see it in my content creation. I'm kind of lazy and I get bored with things easily. That's my issue with it, is that I'm lazy and I get bored with things quickly. Everybody has their own reasons for why they start over frequently, and those are mine. But I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, right. So the developers have talked in the past about how most people just don't play like your hardcore content creators do. And so I think that they just didn't think it through and they didn't care. But what happens if and when all your business owners start to die? You would have to go through your entire town and pick someone to inherit the business. And I haven't even got that far into it. I tried a couple of times. I even set the darn lifespan to short and everything, and my Sims just won't die now. I don't know what is wrong. My elderly Sims just live forever now. I had one elderly Sim that was 125 days old and no signs of dying. Not that I want my elderly Sims to die, but I was specifically trying to test out what would happen if all these elderly Sims were the owners of businesses and then they all suddenly started dying. And the businesses all close. Like, that's it. Nobody owns them. You can go in, I guess, and have other Sims buy the business and then go back to your active household and play with them. You can go through every single business and set an heir for the business. I, again, did not get that far in my gameplay over the weekend, so I don't know how to do that specifically. But, like, it's weird. It's weird, and I don't like it. I don't like that the business just basically ceases to exist once the Sim dies. I get that in real life that would also happen. If someone owned a business and that person died, then that business, if no one else came in to run it, that business would just close down. That's what happens. But this is not real life. This is The Sims. And we're not living in real time in The Sims. And so a lifetime in The Sims, you could play an entire Sims lifetime in less than a month, real time. And that's, if you don't play every day, if you only play on weekends for a few hours, you know what I mean? So you're going to go through a lot of businesses and you're going to have to constantly be updating who owns those businesses, who owns those businesses. And I don't know, it just feels like a lot of work for a game. And then there's the whole aspect where it feels like they did not care about the customer side of businesses. Because if you play an active sim and you go to other Sims businesses, it does not work the same. You will not pay to do your laundry. You can do your laundry for free in the laundromat. You do have to abide by ticket kiosk rules. That is one thing. But, like, there's all sorts of ways in which you can get around the business stuff and paying for stuff and things like that. I don't know. It does not feel like it was meant for you as both the owner and the customer to be playing. The way Get to Work retail shops work is that whether you're the owner or the customer, it works exactly the same on both ends, you know? So let's say I make a bakery and Get to Work. My sim sets a cake for sale, and then other Sims come in and buy that cake. They have to pay for it. Okay, so now I switch over to another family, and that's my active family, and I go to that first Sims bakery, and I click on the cake. I have to purchase it before I can take it, right? I mean, that just makes sense, right? Except in businesses and hobbies, it doesn't work that way. I take my sim, and my sim can just take the cake off the shelf and eat it. No purchase necessary. Now that could just be an issue with regular food stuff from the game. I did not try with the new candy. I know that things are priced weird as well. I had a conversation in the comments about in one of my recent videos about that. Things are very much priced weird. They're priced normal in that a party serving or a full cake is gonna cost more than a family serving, and that's gonna cost more than a single serving. However, cakes, even your big 2-tiered cakes, are cheaper than a 4-serving cotton candy plate. So it is priced weird, and it's a little off, but also they weren't looking at it from the customer side of things either. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I only want to play as a business owner, and I don't care about having businesses for my family to travel to and do things at, then yeah, businesses and hobbies is great. It's awesome. But it's like I was saying previously. Oh, I might not have said it in one of my videos, but I did say it on like Blue Sky and Twitter. I don't like when expansion packs feel like they are just mini games on top of the base game. So think like Strangerville is sort of a mini game within The Sims 4, you know? I don't love that. Like, I love that there are things to do unique to Strangerville and unique to Silver Dorada with the the lost tomb things or whatever. I do like having that stuff, don't get me wrong. But with a pack like Businesses and Hobbies, it shouldn't feel that same way. It shouldn't run that same way. It shouldn't be a mini game within the wider game. Think Pets. Pets is... Brindleton Bay is very pet themed and oriented, and then there's absolutely nothing to do with pets anywhere else in the game. So it feels like Pets is not really completely integrated entirely into the rest of the game. It feels like it's sitting next to or on top of the rest of the game because they made Brindleton Bay so themey and so like wrapped up in all things pets, like the lore, the names of things, everything revolves around pets. And it just feels like a mini game within the game. And there is some cross-pack compatibility, and it's definitely better than other packs for sure. But it still feels a little bit like a mini game within the game because it's separated in that way. It's themed in that way, you know? In businesses and hobbies, it's kind of the same thing where it's integrated with the rest of the packs, but it still feels like pets where it's a mini game within the game because the only focus is for you to build and run your own business. They do not care about the customer side of things at all. I don't know. I don't think I'm making any sense. I know what my thoughts and feelings are inside. I just don't know how to get it out in words. But anyways, we're building the bar here, and it's purposely dark. There are lights, and there will be more lights here in a minute. The lights on the stage that I put up in a few minutes here can be brightened, and they can have their colors changed and everything. So if you want it brighter in there, it will be brighter in there. But it's meant to look like a rundown, seedy sort of small town dive bar. It's meant to be dark and unaesthetic and all that kind of stuff. Also, this retail shop up here, candy store that I'm working on, is meant to look like at one time it was a grand candy shop, and now the owner is just like, whatever, we'll just throw a bunch of displays in here full of candy and hope somebody buys something at some point just to keep us afloat. You know, that's kind of the feeling I'm going for with this stuff. They don't care how it looks, they just want to make the sale. And as long as everything is clean, they can make the sale. And so that's kind of all they care about. Keep it clean, but not aesthetic, I guess is the way I would describe it. Keep it clean, but who cares about aesthetics, you know? So yeah. Anyways, those are my thoughts and feelings. And sort of those are my thoughts and feelings on businesses and hobbies, and sort of my inspiration, thoughts and feelings and whatever for this particular lot. I'm going to be honest in saying I probably won't make a lot of these business and hobby businesses for my save file because I just don't see the point, especially with retail stuff. It bothers me that we now have 2 retail systems running concurrently, but one doesn't work really well, even though it's the newer system, and the other one doesn't allow for mixed use lots. So you're kind of, you get the worst of both worlds, really. That's what I'm trying to say. Both with this build and with my feelings about businesses and hobbies. You get the worst of both worlds. That's how I would sum up my feelings about the whole thing. But I do like this build because there's something nostalgic about it for me, because I did grow up around and in a lot of buildings like this. I've spent the majority of my life around buildings like this that were like once old, fancy, grand buildings that have been now split up into like almost mini mall type of deals, and they don't look unkept, they don't look dirty, they just don't look nice either. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, enough of my weird ramblings, we're gonna do the walkthrough now because you've pretty much seen the whole speed build. And here we are. Up there is what will be a candy store, should be a candy store. I set it up to kind of look like a candy store. Down here is the bar. You've got some things out here like, hey, this is a bar. But you also have a sign over there with an arrow pointing to the steps, letting you know you can go upstairs for like the candy store slash bakery. Very sort of, yeah, I don't know what else to call it other than well kept up, but old and sort of run down. That's the aesthetic here. Not dirty, run down, not rusted, and sort of failure on the health inspection rundown, but just kind of not fancy. Here is the bar. Like I said, it's a lot brighter than it looked in the speed build, especially once I got the candles in on the tables. But it's meant to be dark. It's meant to be a seedy sort of dive bar almost type of deal. And then you have a DJ booth and a karaoke machine up there on the stage. I did leave in some of the old original artwork as like an homage to the blue velvet here. I thought that would be kind of cute. Then you've got your basic bar set up here. I decided to include a dishwasher and a sink, even though technically there's a sink right there. I don't think they actually use that sink. So I decided to include one over here because your patrons will leave behind glasses and stuff, and your Sims will have to clean them up. So I decided to include that to help your Sims out a little bit there. If we go through this archway, we have a couple of bathrooms here. They're identical, nothing fancy. This leads upstairs to the candy slash bakery shop, but we are gonna go back here to the laundromat, just your basic sort of everyday laundromat, advertisements on the walls, a cork board for people to advertise jobs and I don't know, various other things. And then you have your laundry paraphernalia here. There is an outdoor space, but it's like nothing because the owners don't really have any money to fix it up. And there's a green space right over here. So they're like, if people want to go out to the green space, they can. Why do we need to fix this up? Also, this is the entrance here for the laundromat if the bar is closed. Although technically in The Sims 4, you can just walk through. In real life, there would probably be a gate over that archway there so that people couldn't walk through during the day when the bar is closed. But you can just pretend, it's fine. Let's go over to the private, but not so private entrance of the owner's home here. It's obviously private because it's got the like awning over it and the mailbox next to it. And then here is the entryway. The fun thing is that if you go down the hall of the entryway, you have a coat closet and shoe storage right there, so that's nice. But this will lead you right directly into the business area downstairs, so your Sims will not have to go out and around. I thought that was a good feature to add. Nice and fun and bright, but also not bright in here. Oh, wrong button. Anyways, let's go upstairs to the actual home. And you enter into the living room space. There is a space for children, so I put a toy box in here. But this is the living room. I left some of the old unpainted brick exposed inside of the home as like an homage to the original building there. Then we go in here. This is the kids' bedroom. It's only set up for one child right now, but obviously you can easily remove the desk and put a second bed there. So there's the kids' bedroom. Then over here on the other side of the living room is the parents' bedroom. Nothing terribly fancy, but decent enough. Across the living room, we have the bathroom here. Again, nothing super fancy. Some of that exposed brick before it was painted on the outside type of deal, you know. Then we have the dining space and the kitchen. Kind of a small house, but that was kind of on purpose because they are not meant to be wealthy. They are really not meant to be wealthy at all. This also leads out to that stairway and the front, like, balcony and porch area of the business, so your Sims can come and go from there as well, if they'd like. But then over through this door, it leads directly into that retail shop, which is meant to be kind of like a candy store and or a bakery, with some of those touristy, like, souvenirs over here on the side. I don't know what, but like random little knickknacks and things like that. These shelves are shelves that Sims will buy things from in businesses and hobbies. So all you do is place stuff down on them and they're automatically marked for sale, just like in these shelves and these shelves. So yeah, this is meant for like the cotton candy and the lollipops, things like that. And then up here is meant more for cakes and stuff. You don't want to put the cotton candy and lollipops in here because they're too tall. So this is meant more for cakes and cookies up here, whereas the other candies are meant for these shelves here. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. There is a small balcony out here. Again, not much to it other than your Sims can come out and have a look around some of the town from here. Yeah, the owners are doing the best that they can, but you know, it's an old rundown building and they don't get the tourist business that they used to, so they're doing the best they can. That's my story for this lot. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and come back tomorrow or Wednesday. We'll see. I'll try to remember to post it tomorrow, but I'm gonna be hosting a giveaway on the posts tab here on my YouTube channel for businesses and hobbies. So if you love businesses and hobbies and you want to own a copy, you will definitely want to come back for that. This little town is taking shape. And on that note, I will see you in the next one. Bye.